We're about to get some calls back there. We only have to wait an hour for bonding articles, according to legal counsel. So what we are going to do is, while they're counting votes, we're going to move on to Article 9, and depending on whenever we get to Article 9, we will then return to the vote that we just had on the amendment to Article 8 and move forward from there on Article 8. So, that being said, Article 9. Yes.
I don't mean to be a thorn in your side because I think you're doing a great job, but the next article is similarly contentious and complicated as the previous one. It would seem to me that we could continue discussing the article and hearing from the people in line before we go to the next one, because I just feel like we're going to be mixing and matching.
I agree, but I'd rather that we stay in a short recess, because we have an amendment on the floor that's being voted on, and if we start bringing discussion in on other elements that are outside of that amendment, then we could be talking about a moot point. So I'd rather have the answer to the amendment, and then we have discussion on that article. So I'll gladly pause on 9, because it probably won't take that long to count 100 votes, but rather than move on to rather than confuse the issue like you're suggesting. So, I'll let the town decide. So so would you rather? Yes, who just said yes? So my proposal is to just stay in a short recess until the votes are counted, and then when they are counted, we will go back to Article 8, so as not to confuse the issue, as suggested by Mr. Hart. All right, that is what we are doing then. Oh,
A question?
yeah.
Does that mean that we're now violating the law by speeding up the hour that you said?
No, so the hour is only for, legal came up to us during the voting and said the hour is only for when you're voting on bond articles. So because this is not a bond article, creating a bond, starting it. Very, very good, excellent point, sir.
If the issue is that you can vote by acclamation with those here,
Right.
do a hand vote and count them in 5 minutes, which we have tonight. But if you call for a secret ballot, you said that it extends the time for an hour, so the person can come in and that only exists on authorizing a bond article. Otherwise, a secret ballot.
There's no 1 hour requirement for a secret ballot. You can
For
take
secret-
the votes as soon as the votes are counted, the vote is taken.
So if a moderator in the future says, well, hold on, we need a 45-minute window to count the votes, that's illegal?
Illegal's a harsh word.
Illegal's a rough word.
Give me the word.
Improper.
Yeah, improv. It will be using it as a tactic of delay as opposed to an actual, what it's supposed to be, which is allowing secrecy in ballot. So we have the results. Thank you. This has been entertaining for the people at home. We're all getting a civics lesson. So the motion that was on the floor, let me remind you, was to change the first phrase of Article 8 to go from, shall the town vote to rescind the $3,250,000 of bonding authority, to, shall the town vote to rescind $0 of bonding authority. The yeas were 22 to the change, the nays were 69. So that amendment does not pass. So right back to Article 8. Now we're back to, there's no amendments on the floor. We are just discussing Article 8. It has been amended once to change taxpayer in the second to last sentence from taxpayer to funds raised under the TIF bonding authority. That is the only alteration. Is there any more discussion on Article 8? I bet there is, sir.
Well, at the risk of being tarred and feathered tonight, I'd like to make another amendment. Okay.
Oh, come on.
No, basically, if you look at the warrant article as it's written, everything from about 7 lines down, beginning with the parenthesis, down to the end, is superfluous, it's prejudicial, and it has no place in a warrant article. So I make a motion that the warrant be stricken, ending with within the Black Bear TIF and striking everything within the parenthesis to the end.
There is a motion on the floor that, with a second. So there's a motion and a second to leave the first 7 lines and then everything from the exercise down to the end be stricken. Discussion on that.
Leo Fillion was a
Just
second.
want a point of order.
Yes.
We don't know who this gentleman is or where he lives.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my name is Ken Jeremiah, Cushing Road.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Discussion on the amendment on the floor. Who first? Mr. Levy.
I wasn't wanting to do all these, but I guess I have to at least address it, so if anyone else wants to address it, they're free to come up. The reason that was there, I understand some may think it's superfluous, but those have been the businesses, and Attorney Radigan thought that it would be productive for people who are going to be voting on something this important to have a perspective as to what has transpired over the last 13 years. So, believe me, that could have been another 4 or 5 paragraphs. We tried to synopsize it as much as possible, and that's why that is there. So I would be opposed to that amendment.
Any other discussion?
In the spirit of letting the voters have a perspective of what the warrant article and the reasons behind it. Thank you.
We'll allow Mr. Willen.
That's exactly the amendment I was going to make, so I am for it.
I know the individual that made the amendment wants to speak again, but is there anyone else that wants to discuss? Because I want to give everyone the opportunity to speak before Mr. Fillion.
Yeah, to me, they're trying to say what the purpose of the article is, and the RSA says what the purpose of the article is. For them to say, well, this is what I think the article says, or whatever, I agree, superfluous, basically. They're trying to say, well, this is what this is going to mean, and the RSA tells you what the tax increment finance district is and how it operates. And for them to say, well, no, this is what we think it means is superfluous. I'm in favor of just leaving that and let the people at the next town meeting vote yes or no.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to discuss? Sir.
Bill Archeri, 155 Exeter Road. I disagree. I've always found that our warrant articles do not provide enough background information to the intent of the article. So I think having some of that background information provides some information to the voters to why the article is there.
Ms. Foster?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the reason that we're here, is to let people know what all this stuff is about? If they wanted that information, they should be here at that meeting. You know, it's not our job to provide them every little dot and tittle in the warrant articles when they go to the polls. If they want to be an informed voter, they should be paying attention to what's going on.
I, as a moderator, obviously have to stay impartial, and am doing my best to stay impartial. I do agree with your synopsization of, is that a word?
At this time of night, it is.
Synopsizing, or whatever you want to say, of the purpose. Synopsis, that's the word. Oh, man. It's getting hot up here. Now, your synopsis of the purpose of this deliberative session. It is the place where we discuss and deliberate. Ma'am.
Nancy Downing, 89 New Road. Personally, for me, I don't know the RSAs, and I don't know if you know all of them, but I don't, and I don't even know where to begin to look for them. So for me, someone coming in that doesn't know anything about this TIF district, when I read this gives me some history, so I can make a conscious decision about how I want to vote on this. This is making people aware. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Cox.
Roseanne Quox, Wally Falls Road. They're stating that everything that's after Black Bear TIF is just what the petitioners feel. It's their understanding of it. But that whole first sentence, the after Black Bear TIF, the exercise of this bonding authority by the town council was expressly conditioned upon the town having secured a firm agreement with the developer sufficient to pay back the bonded debt. That's a fact. That is basically the wording of the first bond when it first went to the voters in '98. So that isn't just something that the petition has made up. And I agree, to get your head wrapped around, you say RSA to your average person, and unless you're in a board or committee, it's kind of hard to follow and get your head wrapped around. And they don't have RSA books at home, and this makes it easier for the general public to understand exactly what has been going on, and it gives a little history. It's just like when you go to a doctor. You know, if he doesn't have your folder in front of you, he's going to give you penicillin that you're allergic to. So this is something that lets the people know exactly what has happened in the past, and it gives them the opportunity to give themselves a quick little education on it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sharples.
Rochelle Sharples, still at 10 Lamprey River Park. Move the question.
There is a motion on the floor to move the question for Article 8, not an amendment, but the actual article. And there is a second. Is there? No, you're right. So if you are in favor of moving the question, raise your hand. Wait. You're right. I'm sorry. I lost track. I apologize. I'm moving the question on the amendment. That is what I'm moving. The amendment says, I really apologize. Wait, let me explain it before you put your hands up. You're going to get exhausted. So I am moving the question on the amendment, which the amendment is to strike everything after the 7th line, which is the exercise all the way down to the last phrase, area of the town. That is the motion on the floor. The move the question has been seconded. Everyone that wants to vote on the amendment and stop debate on the amendment, raise your hand. Everyone that does not want to move the question, wants to continue debate, raise your hand. The question is moved. We will now vote on and we're going to vote. We're going to vote on the amendment, and it's going to be by show of hands. So I'm going to ask the clerks to count. So the motion is to strike everything after the 7th line, which ends with within the Black Bear TIF.
Thank you.
If you are in favor of this motion to strike everything after the Black Bear TIF on the 7th line, please raise your hand. Clerks, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Are you good? You can put your hands down. If you want to leave this as written and remove nothing, please raise your hand. Vote is 36 yea to 47 nay. The vote does not pass. It will remain as written. We are now back to square one. We are right back to the article as written, except the phrase taxpayer money on the second to last line has been changed to funds raised under the TIF bonding authority. Is there any more debate about the base article?
Move the question.
All right, so moving the questions has been seconded. Everyone in favor of moving the question? Or just say aye. Are you opposed? There we go. All right, so we are now going to vote on Article 8. But I'm going to reread Article 8. I apologize. But I've done it with everything else. I want to be consistent. It's just only fair. So I apologize in advance. To everyone at home on TV, it's a great bedtime story for your kids. Article 8, rescind bonding authority for Black Bear TIF. Shall the town vote to rescind the $3,250,000 of bonding authority for the Black Bear Tax Increment Finance District that has been authorized by a 1998 vote of town meeting per NHRSA 162K:1-15, Local Option Tax Increment Finance District, as adopted by the Newmarket Town Council in accordance with the Municipal Finance Act, RSA Chapter 33. The purpose of this article is to prohibit the use of any RSA 162K municipal debt to finance the construction of public infrastructure improvements, e.g. roads, sewers, and other utilities, etc., within the Black Bear TIF. The exercise of this bonding authority by the town council was expressly conditioned upon the town having secured a firm agreement with a developer sufficient to amortize, pay back, the bonded debt. To date, no bonds have been issued by the town council and no infrastructure improvements have been constructed by the town in the Black Bear TIF since it was established 13 years ago on 5/6/98. A number of concerning development proposals for the TIF have been discussed. A New Jersey garbage company, a lumber distribution facility with 24/7 heavy truck and rail traffic, and more recently, a trash recycling plant delivering garbage to Newmarket. Given the large number of residents in this area of Route 108 and New Road, and considering the nearby proximity of the environmentally sensitive Great Bay, the petitioners believe that funds raised under the TIF bonding authority should not be used to promote large commercial/industrial development in this area of town. All those, I'm going to go with voice vote first. All those in favor of Article 8 as it reads, signify by saying yay. Yay. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
The yeas have it.
Can I make a motion? Can I make a motion to not reconsider warrant article number 8?
Or 7, or 6, or 5, or 3. That would be a motion to limit reconsideration. There you go. I second.
All right, so there's been a motion to limit reconsideration by Mr. Levy, seconded by Mr. Madej.
For all preceding.
For all preceding, 1 through, or we already have, everything's done for 3, so it's 4 through 8. All those in favor say yay? Yay! I'm sorry. I should have asked for discussion first. Was there any discussion on the? All right. Now, all those in favor say yay. Yay! All those in favor say nay. You guys really want to get out of here. Article 9, the last article. Flood mitigation via McClellan Dam removal feasibility study. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $85,000 through this special article for the purpose of evaluating the removal of the McClellan Dam as a precedent to any proposed capital investment towards its repair in order but not limited to mitigate flooding in the Newmarket from the Lamprey River, and further to authorize the town council to apply for, obtain, and accept federal, state, and other grants that may be available to subsidize costs associated with this feasibility study. It was submitted by petition. A majority vote is required. It was recommended by the town council by a vote of 5-2, recommended by the budget committee by a vote of 6-3. Would one of the petitioners like to speak? I will remind everyone that initially I said there's a limit of 5 minutes per speaker, so.
Mr. Hart told me that people might like handouts, so if I can.
Sir.
Yes.
Yes. Find someone else to hand them out.
Sue.
More than one here.
Go ahead, sir.
Wait a moment.
It's a big one.
If you could hold on to this.
Sir, if you want to,
What she has passed out, actually, ma'am, I'll need two here.
Oh, you need two?
Okay, thank you. For others, thanks. Simply what we put together was some letters that were offered to the town back on March 15th, and specifically within this packet, if you will, you'll find 10 letters from agencies, either supporting a dam removal study or the dam removal itself, also indicating technical or contributions. You also find on page 3 and 4 links to 12 different websites. I passed along another sheet if any members of the town council or budget committee would like to have the Word document of the links emailed to you. Simply give me your name and address or email address, and I'll have that document forwarded to you for your ease in looking up the website links. Also within this packet, you're going to find letters from, again, 10 different agencies, including the town of Milford. As requested back on March 15th, information regarding Milford's trek into their dam removal studies and their contributions. That's also documented, and that's your final letter. You'll find in the letter from Milford that they have 14 different agencies that have assisted them and 6 that are contributing funds. I would also like to point out that Lionel Ingram is here from Exeter River Committee, and I believe I need to make a motion of sorts in order for non-residents to speak. In addition to that, Derek Sowers is here from the Piscataqua Region Estuaries Partnership. I would like to speak briefly on a comment that was made in March 15th and brought up during a town council meeting. I indicated there's an indication of the savings that could be realized or the costs that were incurred by having the dam. And one of those costs, other than flooding, of course, was the monitoring of the dam. Perhaps I should have said monitoring of water level and floodgates. It is my clear understanding that the town incorporates a great deal of time and cost in monitoring the floodgates and water level through Rick Mulaski and his office. And toward that end, I would also like to point out that this warrant article is simply about undergoing the study, gathering data, providing, again, due diligence to seeking an option as opposed to making a capital investment. This is not about voting for dam removal or not. So some of the information that's come back after March 15th, it seems that some folks are feeling that this is a vote yes or no against dam removal or not, and not simply the study. And there have been comments, speculative comments on opinions of this factor or that factor, and I'd simply like to ask that perhaps we could leave our personal opinions on whether, housing values or fishing or this or that, because that's the very essence of this, and that is getting more data and performing the study. Lastly, I would like to make a motion, and I don't know the format, other than asking Derek Sowers and Lionel Ingram to have the opportunity to speak if they in fact would like. I would like to make a motion to amend language within the warrant article in 2 specific locations. Specifically,
wait, so are you asking to make a motion to have non-residents speak or to amend the language?
I'm making 2 motions.
I can't do that. One at a time.
One at a time. Okay. Why don't we start with the second? And I would like to point out, if I can, that the town of Milford has their study 100% funded, and you'll find the documentation. Lionel Ingram is here from Exeter, and he'll explain that although they initially received $60,000, they've subsequently received $40,000 more, if not additional monies, for their study. Therefore, the $85,000 that is within the petition article as it is right now is, as we indicated in March 15th, highly inflated.
So my first motion would be to amend the article in two areas. One would be the dollar value, reducing 85,000 to 45,000. And the second, within the same first line, would be to insert the word warrant after special and before article. And specifically, first line, then reading, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of 45,000 through this special warrant article for the purpose of, and so on and so forth.
So there's a motion on the floor to amend the article as just read. Is there a second? There's a second. Is there discussion on the amendment? Being no discussion, we will vote by voice to alter the first phrase of Article 9 to state, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $45,000 through this special warrant article for the purpose, and continue as currently written. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Is there any more debate on Article 9? Go ahead then, Mr. Midday.
Sarah Callahan, 1 Beach Street. I'm also the chair of the Lamprey River Advisory Committee. As many of you know, the advisory committee consists of appointees that have been nominated by the town and then appointed by the state and approved by governor and council. We're an advisory committee, and we're just that. We advise the 4 member towns, Lee, Durham, Epping, and Newmarket, as to any projects and management that occur along the Lamprey River. I just have a couple comments to make. We have not made any decision, and I'll put this up front, as to whether or not the dam should be removed or not. We have no opinion at this time. However, we are a proponent of learning as much as possible as you can about the river and about the impacts of what a dam removal might be. Understanding that there would be a lot of controversy if the dam was removed, and there needs to be numerous discussions as to the benefits, as well as the what might detriment to what might occur.
It's late, we know.
I know, and I have a 10-week-old baby at home for the last hour and a half, so I'm a little distracted. Our management plan, which was actually approved by the town of Newmarket, states that when possible, in project designs, meetings, studies, and similar preliminary processes that could lead to actions, projects or permits related to the river and its values, that LRAC is a proponent of any of those types of actions and projects. I think that anytime a town or citizens can have good data and good information for making a decision, that is something that should be moved forward with. So as far as the feasibility study, LRAC is a proponent of passing or funding a feasibility study or having one completed by the town. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Midday? You were waiting? You said no thanks. All right. Sir.
Peyton Carr, Bay Road. As I understand, this dam, our dam is in disrepair and needs attention one way or the other, and it's been kicked around for a number of years by the council. I see, from what I understand, there are 3 options for the dam. Actually, it's 2 plus an extra. One would be to repair the dam as it exists. 2 is to tear the dam down. And 1A is to repair the dam with hydroelectric as an option. I thought I saw in the newspaper article recently talking about this article that the council had decided against pursuing the dam removal. I'm totally opposed to that. I think it should be a viable option, and I think this warrant article is, if it's the only way to make sure that the three alternatives are thoroughly addressed, then I'm totally in favor of it.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Is there any more discussion on Article 9?
I'll be very brief. I'm still at the same address. I agree with Mr. Carr. I've been a little lax on watching my Channel 13 Town Council meetings to see, I know, I'm sorry, I can't stay awake sometimes in a recliner. Come on. But I didn't know where we stood as far as exploring the hydropower with the dam, if it was something that we were going to be seeing in the future on a warrant article, as far as to do a study to see if that was an option as well. Yeah, if that was a viable, anybody.
At this point in time, there's no idea of going ahead with a warrant article to do that. We've been approached by private entities who are, at this point in time, investigating whether it's feasible to do that themselves. So they'd basically do the study, and it wouldn't cost the town anything.
Cool. Let's do it.
Sir.
Bob Daigle, Elm Street, Newmarket. I guess I'm a little concerned about the general tone of the article. It seems to be putting dam removal as a first priority of the evaluation. I think that with the river is a valuable resource for Newmarket. I think it was a law passed in 63. We have first rights to water removal in there. We're one of 4 communities. And I think given the fact that we are water strapped, if we get rid of that dam, we're going to lose a source of water for the future. I really think that the emphasis should be put on looking at all options, repair first, and if there's nothing else, then dam removal. But if we take the dam down, we lose the rights to that water because they're not going to let us build another one.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask the gentleman who came up with this petition, because I'm also concerned about the word removal. Perhaps make another motion here to remove the word removal, just say flood mitigation via McAllen Dam feasibility study, and remove the word remove. Because I've talked to some residents in this town, and they're all, not all, but most of them are saying that to remove the dam is going to have an impact on where they live and other areas of the town. So I don't know if he wants to do that, but I would remove the word removal.
The chairman of the town council wishes to respond to that as well.
Dana, I hear what you're saying, but the intent of this warrant article is to study the feasibility of removing the dam. So I think taking that word out of it just confuses the issue. The intent of this warrant article is to study the feasibility of removing the dam. So I would prefer to leave it the way it is.
Counter on that. That's not what we just heard from Sarah. They're not in favor of moving it or anything.
She's not
They
the
just want to
proponent.
do a study.
She wasn't the petitioner.
No, I know, but what I'm hearing is that they just want to do a study. And I'm concerned with the word removal. People are going to say, no, don't remove it. I want to see a study myself on all aspects of that dam.
They're going to study the removal of the dam. That's what they're going to study.
Yeah, it's
They're
the
going to
way
study
you
the
worded it,
economics of
yes.
it, the benefits to habitat, the cost to habitat, whatever. It's going to be a dam removal study. I don't see why you'd want to change it, because that's what it is. Let it pass or fail on the face of it. That's what it is.
I'm going to allow the citizen to speak who's been standing so patiently.
William Foster, 11 Langs Lane. I watched a meeting in which John Bentley hit me personally. I lived in this town 30 years. I grew up in Twin Rivers. Yeah, did it flood? The title of this article is Flood Mitigation via McAllen Dam Removal. That's basically saying you're studying to see what the impact is going to happen in case of a flood and there's no dam. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a rocket science. Water's going to go down. The reason why the dam there is to impact water. It's going to hold it back. You do a study and basically you can just say it's going to happen. Now, my question is we're studying whether or not the flood mitigation is going to happen. How do you know unless there's a flood? In the last 30 years, yes, we've had some flooding going on downtown, with all due respect to Drew. I lived down there, I've been through it, I know exactly what it's like. But you know what? If you build a house on a snowy hill, you could have an avalanche. You live by waterfront because you want waterfront. That's the purpose of it. You want to fish, you want to boat, you want to swim. If you take the dam out, there's only one result. The water's going to go down. That's it. There's no faucet at the other end of the river that's going to keep it going and keep it up. That's just common fact. That's going to happen. This is brought to by petition. So my question is what is the outcome that the petitioners want from this study?
Removal.
Are they trying to find out what it's going to take and what's going to happen if it's removed? Are they trying to find out what's going to happen and what it's going to take when it's removed as far as flood goes? I mean, after it's taken out, floodwaters are going to go down. That's going to happen. But is it going to ever stop a 200-year flood? Could rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Who knows?
Thank you, Mr. Foster. I'm going to allow the petitioner to answer. There's been a couple of questions that sort of have been directed at the purpose of the petition. I don't know if you want to clarify or just reiterate.
The purpose of the study is data and information, whether it's flooding, and it also, of course, it transcends into many other areas that the different agencies have highlighted within the letters that have been distributed. As far as yes, and I agree wholeheartely with Eric. We need to keep the word removal, certainly. There's already been a study on dam repair, and we have an estimate on that of what that is going to be, but we don't have a study on the impact of dam removal. And that is simply what that is about, and that encompasses many things. Flooding is certainly a big item that a lot of people in town can certainly attribute their own personal experiences to, but as well as, what will the water level be, fish habitation, recreational opportunities, fishing. I could echo what some have called it's going to be a fisherman's, sportsman paradise, and others believe that maybe it won't. But the whole issue is study, getting the data, getting the information, so a decision can be made. There's no, I have my own personal opinion what should be done with the dam, but this subject is far bigger than I, and I can't certainly echo what I feel should be done, but the whole point is about getting data. Lastly, I would like to make a motion, again, for Lionel Ingram of Exeter, if he would care to, and Derek Sowers of Prep, if they would like to share any comments.
So there's a motion on the floor. There's a motion on the floor, so I have to deal with the motion on the floor, Ms. Proterada. Well, my motion, the motion on the floor is to allow individuals who are non-residents of Newmarket, which in my outlining initially of the rules said unless you're a town employee, non-residents are not going to be allowed to speak. So, say again?
Town resident, not just an employee.
You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, town resident. The only non-residents that could speak were town employees. So leaving it to you. If you want to have non-residents speak now, say yay. Yay. If you want non-residents not to speak, say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Mr. Porterada.
I'm not going to talk long. Ed Porterada, Exeter Road, Newmarket. Anyway, I grew up on this river. In fact, I learned how to swim on it. And being on a farm, we used to, in fact, Leo's folks had an ice house. Used to cut ice by the hand. Anyway, beside the point, how about the towns upriver that Lamprey River goes by? Will there be any problems if you say, okay, we're going to take it down? I don't think they're going to agree to that.
That's what the study's about.
I know, but why even think about it? They won't agree to it, period.
Let's not have discussions here.
No,
We're almost at the end. Come on now. Hold it together, people.
My point of view is I don't think they'll agree to it anyway. Because I understand some more land of the Lamprey River was held by the government to protect these shores and all that. And one time we took that dam way down. Anyone remember that? They wanted to examine it, didn't they? And what did they find? In the old day, they built things to stand, so I'm saying that, I'm just making a statement anyway. You can do what you want, but as far as I'm concerned, you're gonna have problems with that.
Thank you, sir. Glenda, there was someone waiting before you who actually,
Sorry, I'm brief. I wanted the riverfront property. I just don't want to be in the river. So,
you have to say your name and address.
John Wilson, 2.5 North Main Street. So anyway, I would say that, and really the emphasis, up until I saw this petition, the only talk I ever heard and the only thing I ever read was about dam repair. I heard nothing about dam removal. I heard nothing about dam reconfiguration. I heard nothing about lowering the dam. I only heard about $500,000 to repair, a study to be done, to be paid for to repair. So I'm just in favor of this, just for information purposes. I understand where you're coming from. It's just to get information about, to be able to make an informed decision. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Joyce, then Mr. Fillion.
Glenda Joyce, 1 Jan Lane, Newmarket. I just wanted to make a comment about the dam. As you all know, 1 Jan Lane is on the S-curves, and whenever there's any amount of flooding at all behind that swamp, we get bound inside. One of the things that help us is when they open the gates. And I understand one has to stay open, but I hope that you keep that in mind with people that live in the ash swamp area and out there. We depend on the dam's regulation. And with that said, that was all I wanted to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Fillion.
Looking at this warrant article, I just don't see who is going to drive this bus, basically. Who is going to determine who you're going to hire for the study, what is going to be studied, who is going to do this? Is this going to be the town council is going to do this, or is this, it doesn't indicate who it's going to be. Basically, well, that's for accepting grants and everything. But that's to me one problem, and basically if we authorize raising money, it's going to be up to the town council as to whether or not they want to spend it. Right. If the town council says, "No, we don't agree with this, we're not going to spend it," it's going to just die there. You cannot force the town council to spend any money. They will decide, you can raise this money. The town council says, "No, we're not in agreement with this." They're just going to let it die, and a year from now, whatever this article is going to go away. I just don't see who is going to drive this bus, basically. It doesn't indicate it. The only person I can see is the town council, but it does not specify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fillion. The chairman of the town council wants to speak to that, and then Councilor Bentley.
My understanding of this would be that the town council would lead the charge if this were to pass. And I'm not going to speak for the whole town council here, but if this warrant article were to pass, then I would be in favor of spending the money to do it. If that's what the taxpayers of this town want to do, then I think any council would be foolish not to abide by their wishes. I agree with you, we don't have to, but I think we'd be foolish not to abide by the wishes, so.
Just vote them out.
Councilor Bentley.
Well, a few things, I'll try to make them brief. Number one, either Mr. Chairman or Mr. Welzanowski can say, we don't have to do anything. When they did inspect it, there's not any imminent danger, there's some cracks, some repairs. The state's not telling us we have to do anything, no one's telling us we have to do anything, correct? At this point, okay? So there's no, we heard a couple things earlier. We voted not to spend money to protect the elderly and the young children walking on the sidewalks, what I was passionate about. Why does this have to be done now? No one's telling us we have to do any study right now. So we can leave everything as it is right now, number one. Number two, I agree with some of the other speakers. We always talk about removal or repair. What about adding some boards or floodgates so you can control it more? Because anyone that did see 2 years ago, and I said it before, I'll say it again, when they lowered it to do the inspection, that's what you're going to get a lot. And you can't swim and you can't kayak, and I too wonder what neighboring towns like Durham, where they make the boats up the old Bayside, what they'd think of that. They can't put you could not go out there. I walked out there in boots and walked across what's known as the moat from a lot of people. And that's what we'd have a lot. And I think people that own waterfront property will be knocking on our door looking for tax refunds or looking for less taxes because they don't have waterfront property. So I understand I think we need to look at it, but I don't know why we need to do it again now. We're in a tough financial time. Why does that study have to be now? The dam is safe. And there was some confusion at another meeting, and I brought it up. The flooding in the bowl has nothing to do with the Lamprey River, so don't confuse them. Certainly at some of the other areas, but the bowl downtown has nothing to do with the Lamprey River. That water came from the Wyatt property. And we talk about the town of Milford here. Maybe we should talk about the town of Greenland and drive on Route 33 and look what they did to that dam and look what's there. You can walk across the river now. And people used to fish there and boat there and swim there ever since I can remember. And now there's a stream, there's a trickle. So I just don't know what the time, why it has to be now. We voted down two other things at 50 grand each, one which I thought was a safety issue. So I wouldn't, I'm not a proponent of doing this right now, this study right now.
I have my hand up there.
He did have his hand up first.
Just a quick response to you, sir. I read through the dam repair assessment and some other documents, and I'm pretty certain I saw a DES call to repair because of life safety, and it has. You're shaking your head no?
When I was on the council.
Oh, I thought you were saying no. That we were being called to do something. There was a call for action on that. And in the last meeting, there was some discussion about the fact that we were given kind of a stay of execution of that in order to look into the hydro study. But in fact, we are required to do something, quote unquote, now.
No.
So I would look, quote unquote, I don't know that a time was ever.
DEP has been involved in that, and there is a letter on file, I believe, from DEP that asks the town to provide them a repair schedule. They're not forcing the town to do anything at this point. Will they, if nothing happens in 3 or 4 or 5 years? They probably will. But, I mean, I agree, Councilor Bentley, there is nothing, there's not a gun to our head now that says we have to spend the money to repair the dam. If we do nothing for a number of years, that will probably happen, but there is no specific requirement to do it now.
So that was a life safety hazard categorization and then a suggestion to fix?
There's no life safety hazard issue with that dam. That dam is in good structural condition. There are some problems with some of the retaining walls and things like that, but that dam is in no imminent danger of collapsing.
Okay, I'll get my facts, thanks.
There's been a request to call the question. It's been seconded. This is not on the amendment, it's actually in the article. So if you'd like to vote on the article now, say yay. Yay. Yeah, I love that one. If you'd love, just yay sounds so happy. If you want to continue debate, say nay.
What?
So the article will now be voted on, reading as such. Article 9, flood mitigation via McClellan Dam removal feasibility study. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $45,000 through this special warrant article for the purpose of evaluating the removal of the McClellan Dam as a precedent to any proposed capital investment towards its repair in order but not limited to mitigate flooding in Newmarket from the Lamprey River, and further to authorize the town council to apply for, obtain, and accept federal, state, or other grants that may be available to subsidize costs associated with this feasibility study. We will do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
They were just two loud people.
We're going to do a show of hands. I'm going to judge by show of hands prior to counting. So show of hands. All those in favor, raise your hand. Please put your hands down. All those against, raise your hand. Yeah, it's clearly 4. The clerk will put it on the ballot as read. Is there any other business to come before this deliberative session?
It's not on there. What? Any other business?
Janice Rosa.
Up to the microphone, please.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Where's my list?
What? I didn't
Wait till you get to the microphone, Janice.
I did? I don't remember.
This is, no, thank you. Just a quick concern.
When we just had the road race, there was these nice big signs saying the road race coming up, the Great Bay Marathon. Is there, I don't know who owns those signs, but there was a gentleman sitting next to me that said, couldn't we get those signs to put down voting day to hopefully encourage more of our Newmarket residents to come out to vote? So I don't know if that's an issue for tonight, but I just want to let you know about it.
I'm not sure who that's an issue for. Do you want to talk about it afterwards?
Just bring it up at the town council meeting.
All right. Janice, show up to that next council meeting.
Mr. Moderator, you did an awesome job tonight. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion. Hey, hold on. There's a motion to adjourn on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. This stands adjourned.
The Budget Committee will be meeting